My mouth is full of apple. Really good. You know.
And it's not ready.
I know it's not ready. It's still really good.
I trust cows more than I trust chemists. Know your farmer, know your food. I really hope that we can arouse some curiosity in people. The very simplest of great ingredients can really make a difference in your life. Great ingredients make great food.
Jonathan's one of my favorite apples. That's my granddad. We used to get off the bus at my grandparents' house. My granddad planted a Jonathan tree in the middle of the pear orchard halfway so the kids could have a snack on their way home from the bus.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
You know, that, so
awesome.
Jonathan is great. You know? So Jonathan, like I say, it's a Colorado standard. It's a tart apple that only comes on mid-September and really doesn't hold up well in storage. So it's great in end of September, great in early October, and by the end of October it starts to get mushy. But it's got a nice tart flavor. If you leave it hang on the tree for a while, it actually does get quite a bit of sweetness. And if you cook them with the skins on, it's one of the few apples that we grow where the red persists through heat.
Okay.
So most apples you cook down, the red color of the skin, it just turns brown, it oxidizes, and you get a brown applesauce. Well, Jonathan, if you cook it with the skins on, it comes out scarlet colored.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it's beautiful. So John of Gold's Macintosh.
Max, the apple of my youth.
So Macintosh, this is one of those varieties that people asked me for years and years, and the story was you couldn't grow Max in Colorado. Well, I think you can't grow Max in Grand Junction because it's hotter. We're 4 or 5 degrees cooler up here, and they grow great here. And we found that all these people like you that came from back east, grew up on Macintosh. They'd ask for Max at the market and say, oh, we don't grow them, but try Jonathan, it's similar. Like, no, it's not the same. It's like the sweet corn isn't the same as what you grew up with. And I finally replanted some, and now a lot of times we don't even put it out at the stand. We have our little groupie, and they come up, do you have any Max? Yeah, come back here. Come back around the trailer. And they walk off, and you see this person walking off with this bag in their hand, and they have a big smile on their face, and they're just, it's that, I mean, it is food is not just eating, it is that whole concept of it's part of our lives, and it has memories, and it has thoughts. And,
well, this brings me back. And this is truly a polyculture. I mean, you've got what looks like vetch and
alfalfa and
clover, and clover and all sorts of things growing.
Right, because it is an ecosystem. The fun thing about growing trees is they're perennials. I mean, it's like kids. They grow for 20 years. And so every decision we make today of how we treat them is going to affect us 3 years, 4 years down the road. So we're not making a decision just for maximization now, but we're making a decision for how do we make the system work for us.
This is alfalfa?
Yep. And so this is, if you look down this row, you can see the cover crops we plant under our trees. Alfalfa and flowering plants in our system are very important because a lot of our beneficial insects. And so you have to have flowering plants for the adults to feed on, and then they lay their eggs and they have the larvae, and the larvae are what help eat the mites and the aphids and stuff in the trees. The other thing that alfalfa is really good for is it produces nitrogen. It takes nitrogen out of the air and puts it in the soil. If the plant can do my work for fertility, why should I drive a tractor through and spread fertilizer? But if we provide all this stuff in the soil with our cover crops, the tree can feed. And it's just like going to a buffet table. The tree doesn't eat once a year. We tend to fertilize once a year or twice a year. Well, the tree eats all the time, just like you and I do. We graze. And we may have 3 big meals a day, but then we snack or we do this and that. Well, the tree wants to snack as well. And if I'm trying to add all that stuff manually, we can't do it enough. But this kind of stuff is always all the bacteria and fungi in the soil are turning it over, and the tree can just snack.
So the ultimate test of this is how everything tastes, right? I mean, that's what you're known for. You're known for how your fruit tastes more than anything. I mean, among all the things we've talked about today, your growing practices, your stewardship of the land, ultimately, you're a great grower because you grow great tasting fruit.
The best way to tell when an apple is good is eat it. We can check sugars, we can check pressures, we can check seed color, we can check starch, but does it eat well? An apple is made to be eaten fresh off the tree. It shouldn't have to store for a long time. And so we decide when to pick by going out and eating.
One more reason, know your farmer, know your food. Support your farmers. Now, if you're a porcini mushroom, you do not want to hear this sound.
Yeah, that's it.
You do not want to hear this sound. It means you are going to get picked, cooked, and eaten.
You know, and the story actually my mom tells about my granddad is that in the old days before insecticides, they did sort by grade. So you had one, you know, no worm, one worm, two worm apples, literally were grade standards. And my granddad always guaranteed the fruit and said, if you get it by a two worm apple and there's only one worm in, bring it back and I'll replace it. So